Hey everyone, so in today's video, I'm going to be testing out a bunch of new makeup. Most of this makeup I have already been trying, so I kind of decided to do a little dive onto a bunch of these new releases, put them on my face for you guys, and then do a wear test at the end of the video. We are talking the new Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation, the new under eye brighteners from Rare Beauty, new luminous putty blushes from e.l.f., new blushes from Too Faced, blurring blushes, the new highlights from Charlotte Tilbury, the Glow Glide Face Architects. I have two different shades here. And a new cream eyeshadow that, I don't know, I've never heard of this brand, but I think there might be something to this. So I hope that you guys enjoy, and let's just get on into the demos. Shall we go ahead and begin? I did already prep my face with skincare. I'm going to apply just a little bit of the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, just to give me a little bit of smoothing and a little bit of moisture, because we are going to be trying out this new foundation from Makeup by Mario. It's the Surreal Skin Foundation. By the way, how does Kevin Aquan feel about this name? It is very, very close to the Sensual Skin from Kevin Aquan. It's like so close. Oh, I feel like Kevin Aquan might cease to exist pretty soon, because I have not heard them release anything new in such a long time. That does have me a little bit afraid, because their eyelash curler is like my favorite ever. What do you guys think? Have you noticed them release anything that I'm missing? By the way, I do have the shade 2N, and I'm going to do just one pump today and apply it. This is not the first time that I'm trying this out. I am going to do a wear test for you guys, because I actually asked you guys for some feedback on what you wanted to see from me in 2023, and also just some general feedback on my channel. What can I be doing better? And then I did have someone say that you like check-ins, like wear time check-ins, and I thought I can do that. So I'm gonna try and incorporate those more onto my channel. I do have a little bit extra that I'll go in with in a second, but just blending that in. I think that this day is going to kind of be my final thoughts on this foundation from Makeup by Mario, because so far I have had a very lackluster experience with the foundation. It's so interesting to me the way that they went about this foundation. First of all, I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but there are literal sparkles in the formula of this foundation itself, which again, you know, you have to look so up close to get like a vibe of them. But notoriously, in my experience, those never help with texture in the long term of a foundation. Those little pigments always, in my experience, have exaggerated texture. And what I have seen consistently from this foundation is people complaining that it makes their texture more obvious. That is why I went in with my Bobbi Brown face base, because I want to see if I get a better look texture-wise with this foundation. It looks nice, but I will say it just looks a little bit more apparent on the skin than I would want so immediately after applying the foundation. Has given me a pretty nice result, but I just noticed overall it just does not compete with other foundations in a similar price category. I mean, you guys know how much I have love for so many other luxurious foundations. Speaking, by the way, of really luxurious foundations, my friend Kaki convinced me to pick up the most expensive foundation I think I've ever bought. One of the most expensive makeup products I've ever bought. It's the Sublimage Le Tint foundation from Chanel. So I plan on testing this out and then probably doing a dedicated review. I just posted a YouTube short of me unboxing this, but I just have to show you guys this texture. Intoxicating. Oh my god. Beautiful. I do trust Kaki a lot. Oh god. what is going on downstairs. I really trust her Rex, so I'm hoping that that is a really beautiful product. I will say right now with the Makeup by Mario, this is as pretty as it has ever looked. First application. I gotta tell you, my opinion is that it is because of this face base. Again, it's hydrating, but it's also very smoothing. And I really feel strongly that this is doing a good job of taking care of some of the texture that this foundation typically does not do well with. But that is why I invest in this so consistently, is that it just makes foundations perform better. I now have another new complexion product. This is from Rare Beauty. It's their new color corrector. What are they called? Under eye brighteners. This is the shade Light. I also have used this before. And, ooh, this one's extra cold today. That's something I really like. It does have a metal applicator, and it is just very smoothing. Maybe I can get a little bit of like a depuffing action if I do this. It does feel really good. It kind of feels like when you do this, it feels like a very soft kind of massage for the under eyes. It's really nice. But I've never used this alone without concealer, so I want to do that today just to get a better idea of how this formula works on its own, standalone. So that's what we're going to do. I am going to let this sit a little bit. I always do that with my concealer products, so I'm gonna kind of treat this the same way. While I'm letting this sit, I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows, and then I will be right back. All right, and now I'm just going to press this in with my fingers. Just because I want the most coverage out of this, I'm gonna go in with a sponge after, probably. It's quite dewy. This doesn't really set down or dry down very easily because, you know, the reason why I let my concealer sit is that it gives them the opportunity to dry down a little bit and then I get more coverage. But what I am finding is happening right now is that this has like not dried down like at all. So what I'm going to do instead is take a little bit more of the corrector or brightener on the back of my hand, put my sponge into it, and then go ahead and blend it out. And this is a really good trick to do when you find that your sponge removes coverage. With that little bit of product right on the sponge, it just helps the sponge not absorb the rest of the product as easily. The great irony about eye brighteners for me is that sometimes I feel like if it's too bright under the eyes, it can kind of give you that reverse raccoon eye effect where your eyes kind of look darker. Now, I don't think my under eyes look dark per se, but I feel like the hollows under my eyes are definitely more prevalent than they usually are. Ooh, and I gotta tell you, that is, that's my makeup pet peeve, the struggle, because I just feel like when I look tired, all of the rest of the makeup kind of looks run down. Also, I feel like every time I touch the product, it kind of removes a little bit, which, yeah, I mean, when a product doesn't set down, that's gonna happen. Something very positive though is that it's quite hydrating, so that is really good. And it's not hydrating in a way that is like fake hydration, because some makeup products add like a lot of dew, but they still look heavy on the eyes. This doesn't look heavy and it also is hydrating. I cannot wait to put these highlights on my face, but I think first we got to do bronzer. This is an affordable bronzer, new from e.l.f. It is the Luminous Putty Bronzer, and I have been using this as well. I'm going to take the BK 101 brush. Just started using this, I think like yesterday, day before maybe, and it is so beautiful. Every time I use a BK brush, like the better they get. I'm just tapping that in. I'm gonna do a little bit over here on the jaw. And this shade that I picked up is the shade Day Trip. And I have talked about the putty bronzers before from e.l.f. I really, really like them. But the luminous ones, I mean, the formula is so similar. They're just a little luminous. I mean, go figure. but I think that they're actually a really good alternative to the Tower 28 bronzers. I'm excited to do a little bit more of an in-depth look at both of those. I do want to do an upcoming buy this, not that video, or, you know, a save or splurge. Those videos are some of my most favorite to do on my channel. If you guys have not watched my channel before, they're like some of my bread and butter, I would say. Some of my favorite like long running series that I have done on my channel. So yeah, you can see they are just really easy to work with. They do really well with that kind of padding motion, and this brush makes it kind of easy. I mean, just because it is more flat, but still angled, just makes doing this kind of a breeze. And I love this shade Day Trip because it has a little bit more red to it rather than yellow. All right, I think that that looks so freaking pretty. I mean, we just put on 2 mid-range makeup products and an affordable one, and the affordable one definitely, I feel like, is stealing the show. But shall we apply a little blush? This is also a new blush from Too Faced. Now, I actually talked about these on my community tab. I always like to update you guys on new releases on my community tab and just like gauge you guys on how you're feeling about it, my like initial thoughts about the launches. And this one, I was super interested in it because it apparently is really blurring. I mean, it's literally called the Cloud Crush Blurring Blush. And who doesn't like a little bit of blurring on the cheeks? I mean, especially me, because I like to take my blush like in here, kind of all over the nose. This is where the most pores I have are. So if I can get a blush that does a really pretty job of like blurring that area, I mean, that sounds good to me. So this is the shade Head in the Clouds. They also have a really pretty like bright pink shade, very like Dior Rosy Glow vibes on that one. Let's just press this in. The great thing about the putty formula is that they generally do really well with powders, other cream products. This is pretty. The shade is not what I was expecting. I don't know. It's very pretty though. I want to see right now if this side looks more blurred than the other, like up close. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera. I definitely can't tell in the viewfinder right now, but oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks more blurred, but something else that I'm noticing right away. Makeup by Mario, what are you doing with this? Guys, we deserve better. I think I'm actually gonna zoom you guys in just to give you a better idea. And by zoom you guys in, I mean I'm gonna do this. You see all the texture going on there? Hopefully you can, but looks much better with that blush. But in general, I'm not getting a lot of texture in these areas. I mean, clearly I have pores there, but my favorite foundations do a much better job with them. I feel like this is kind of the last straw with the Makeup by Mario foundation. I'm not feeling too hot about it, but the blush is definitely helping. So let's go ahead and apply some more on here. Okay, I don't think we needed to apply that much. It's all right, we'll just add a little bit to the forehead. Apply some everywhere. I would typically, in this situation, maybe even apply a little bit of my foundation like back on. And, you know, depending on the formulas that you're working with, especially powders, you have to be careful. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. But with the way the Makeup by Mario foundation is going, that is a no-go for me. So I'm not gonna apply any more of that. I do think that Makeup by Mario is coming out with a concealer, and I'm still holding out hope on that concealer. And obviously I am going to be doing a wear test for you guys on like everything still, but the foundation, yeah, it's kind of like I'm on the last straw with it. Now before we get into eyes, I feel like I just gotta put on a highlight. I picked up the new highlights from Charlotte Tilbury, the Glow Glide Face Architect Highlights. And yesterday, actually, I picked them up and I kind of filmed like a little first impressions and then just kind of my overall thoughts on the fact that two brands that are pretty hyped up, Rare Beauty, which, where's that highlight I pulled out? The Positive Light highlights. Two very well-respected brands have both come out with highlights that are said to be very creamy or cream-like. So if that was not already going to be a trend, I think it's pretty safe to say that we might see more brands come out with powders or powder products that look or resemble creams. I'm gonna keep talking as I apply them. I'm gonna go with Moonlit Glow today. Something that I think is so smart about this launch from Charlotte Tilbury is the fact that it's called the Architect Highlight. And now that we have absolutely beautiful foundations that already give us a really beautiful, creamy look to our skin, can already give us a healthy look, what is the point of highlight? This launch reinvigorates the need for a highlight in your routine. And by the way, I'm not saying that you need highlight or should wear it at all. I think you should just do what makes you happy. But this product has positioned itself in, I think, a really smart way because it is used to sculpt. And I think that's what it's best at doing. And that is something that I find a typical luminous foundation can't do. I actually mentioned recently in my Rare Beauty video that I use highlights to give myself a more healthy look to my skin, a real skin health look. But if I'm talking about a way to truly highlight and manipulate light in a way that does make my cheekbones look higher, make my nose look a little bit straighter, that's not something that foundation by itself can necessarily do. I mean, if you do use a highlighting technique, like using a lighter foundation in certain areas, that can definitely help. But with this pearl in here, it captures the light much easier than just a dewy foundation can. But I love the name of this because this does really feel like that perfecting product, the same way using a contour would be a perfecting product for a routine. Do you need it? No. But do you notice those little differences in your routine when you do contour? I would say yes. So this is really, really nice. And I'm quite enjoying it. As I've been using it for, this is now the second time. Something else that I talked about in the video that will never see the light of day, but something else that I was kind of working through out loud is that I love this highlight because it does not have a lot of base pigment. There are 6 shades to this. So the fact that these 2 shades that I have are already flexible, it makes me really excited that there is probably going to be a highlight for everyone. And not only that, but it does help to give just a little bit more of a skin-like effect when there is less base pigment. It makes the shearing out process of this much easier. And I think that that's what makes these special and different is, okay, the swatches themselves, guys, all the swatches that I've seen, I mean, is that pretty? Yeah. To me, it doesn't look like much though. Especially for 48 bucks, I'm like, no. However, something happens when you shear them out. They just become a little bit more reflective. They do have a little bit more of that creamy effect once they're actually sheared out onto the skin. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful. Charlotte Tilbury also does mention that you can use this like all over the face, like any area you want to highlight. I would say, I mean, I would stick with like the typical highlight places for me personally, but this to me is what I think Makeup by Mario was almost onto. I mean, these are 2 different products, don't get me wrong, but you know those like shimmering bronzer kind of powders that Makeup by Mario released last year? They were meant to be kind of used all over the face, but they were very clearly in more bronzer-centric colors, which like, I mean, if you apply that all over the face, it kind of takes away the effect of a sculpt in my opinion. And also they had like straight shimmer in them. This to me is just a little bit more well thought out. It also gets back to the roots of what we all kind of expected from highlights. When powder highlights started to come out, it was like, okay, it does actually help with making our cheekbones look a little bit more vibrant and high. And I have been finding in general that this does give a little bit more of that voluminous effect to the cheeks that looks youthful. And though I don't think this is going to erase all the texture on your skin or blur, but from the perspective of volume, I certainly think that these accentuate volume on the cheeks in a way that does help them look a little bit youthful in a way. And it does make me curious about some of these other shades, like the shade Pillow Talk, some of the deeper shades as well. I'm like, could that be a really pretty product to apply onto a bronzer to get kind of like a highlighted bronzy effect? I mean, these definitely have made me curious. I also initially picked them up because they have, the third ingredient in here is squalane. I love squalane, and I was interested in seeing if that is just like a highlighted ingredient meant to sell product, or if it actually would have a difference in the performance of the highlight. And for me personally, I think that this formula is definitely different. And the way that it kind of shears out over the skin does give me a little bit of an emollient vibe. But by the way, you guys, I mean, this is not like tacky on the skin whatsoever. It still feels like a powder. Maybe I'll do another video kind of going in depth and like comparing the Rare Beauty ones to the Charlotte Tilbury, possibly. If you guys want to see that, let me know. And for the eyes, wait, what did I pick up? Oh, okay. You guys know how much I love to try and find a hidden gem. And this is a new product to me, Manasi Beauty Evolution Eye Glow Color. I hope I'm saying that right. If you guys have heard of this brand, please correct me. This is more of a natural beauty brand, but when I saw this like creamy, glowy eyeshadow pot, first of all, look at all that product you get. How much is in here? It feels kind of insane to me. I guess it's not like, it's the same amount. Like these two are the same amount. I think this jar just looks so big that I'm like, damn, that's a lot of product. I am always looking out for new cream eyeshadow formulas, different formulas to test out for you guys. So I found this one. Again, I have no idea how this is gonna go. I picked up the shade Sublime. The formula itself, I did swatch it this morning because I just received it this morning. I bought it on Saks, by the way. The formula. Oh my God. Sorry. I feel like, I don't know, insecure? Probably. Yeah, I think it is insecurity at like, people are gonna think that I'm like exaggerating. I just get a really visceral reaction to makeup when I try it because I just love it. I was hoping that this was going to be like kind of a lived-in, grungy, creamy eyeshadow. And I mean, that's the vibe it's giving me right now. I'm just taking my Sephora Pro 18 brush and I'm just going to go, I guess I'm gonna go a little bit more grungy today. Wish that there was a little bit more pearl to it. I think it would still look really natural if there was just a touch more pearl, but that's really pretty. The shade also reminds me of something that like Ritual Defee would come out with. Ritual Defee does some of the absolute best like grungy, smoldery colors. They do blend out really easily. They want to sheer out. And they want to stick to the skin, which is good news as well. As far as the texture goes on these, it's definitely reminding me of like a natural beauty brand. This does use quite a bit of castor oil in it, which the formula reminds me of that. It's almost like a lip balm kind of formula. So again, this is like super grungy, sheer, going to photograph incredibly. I mean, because of that like glossy vibe, just glossy eyes look so good in photos. I don't see much creasing. I see a little bit right here, but we're just gonna have to see. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of the Make Waves from Tower 28. And then I have to pick out a lip. I have 2 new lip products to try. Ugh, This mascara is so good. I just love it. So I have a new lipstick from Laura Mercier, new to me. And it is the Silky Creme Lipstick, the Rouge Essential in Brune Natural. I think they did like a reel with this and the color spoke to me. In person, it's a little bit more brown rose than I thought. I thought it was gonna have a little bit more of an orange note to it. Still nevertheless really pretty, like a really great 90s nude, which I feel like would go really well with like the vibe that we have going. But I also picked up Business Casual from MAC. This is their Luster Glass lipstick formula. I've been eyeing this formula for a long time and I finally pulled the trigger on this. So let's see a swatch. This does have more of that orangey tone to it that I was hoping. So that's Business Class. And that is Brune. What, Brune Natural? Yeah, Brune Natural. So I think I'm gonna go Brune Natural today. Only because I feel like it's just kind of a vibe. One thing I don't like is the major scoop in the lipstick. Like, it does, I think, having smaller lips make it more difficult to apply. Maybe I'll use a brush today and see how that goes. Actually, I think this is a concealer brush, yeah. But it is from Laura Mercier, and my dog did chew on it, so maybe I can kind of use this with the brush and kind of reshape the lipstick a little bit here. And there are the lips done. I am kind of digging the overall like dark femme vibe of this look, but I am going to go ahead and show you guys some up close footage of how this looks in natural light, because I think that that is going to be super important, especially as we keep going and checking in throughout the day. This foundation has kind of robbed a lot of elegance out of a lot of the other aspects of this look. The amount of texture that I have going on in this area, and I didn't apply the blush like all the way up in here, but it is looking, even in those areas, like so textured. When I turn my face this way, I'm noticing also major hollowness under my eyes. Not looking bright under my eyes, not nearly as much for what I would want. I understand that an eye brightener can be used in combination with a concealer, but when this eye brightener is so light coverage and you add a medium coverage concealer on top, like I would typically go in with my Kosas Revealer, just feels a little bit moot. I'm actually really liking this lip, the way it blots down. So I applied it, I blotted it, and then I reapplied it and blotted it again. That's a way to kind of extend the longevity of a lipstick look. And as I've continued to do that, the color is just really pretty and it looks nice on the lips. The Too Faced blush, I do think did a good job of blurring, but with how textured this foundation is making my skin look, I don't necessarily blame it for just not looking as blurred as I think it could. The bronzer is absolutely beautiful. The eyes, I gotta tell you, I know that this is gonna crease because I'm already seeing a crease a little bit here and a little bit here. If you're into that like undone, glossy, grungy kind of eye look, this is really pretty. Is it worth the money? I don't know yet. I'm gonna have to see on like how it wears throughout the day. So I'm gonna go on with my day. It is 1 o'clock here. Probably do a couple of check-ins and then give you my final thoughts. Hey guys, so I've been wearing the makeup for like 2 hours now. What is going on? First of all, this eyeshadow, like, I understand the reason for the product. I understand the finish. I understand, like, in general, the vibe. I love a glossy lid, by the way. If you're gonna do a glossy eye, I at least want, like, a decent amount of the pigment to stay on the lid itself. And it feels like it has sheared out to, like, pretty much nothing, like, in a couple of hours. I just feel like for the price, I would say no. Immediately. Like I'm just not really feeling it anymore. Upon first application, it looks really pretty though. I just think that the Ritual Defeat Ash Number eye slits are probably a better investment. Lipstick looks good. The blush and the highlight looks good. The foundation is not looking good. And my under eyes look so not ideal. Like really, really not ideal. In my opinion, like I feel like they look way darker than they usually do. Like 3 o'clock now, 2 hours in, and I feel like some good and some bad. I don't know if you guys are really gonna be able to see how everything is going. Hopefully you can, but you can see all of this texture that I usually don't have. Like, what? My skin usually looks so much more smooth than this. So, I never vlog on my phone. Hello? Is my car not gonna start or something? Highlight looks great though. I mean, like I said, look at that. It just does such a good job of like sculpting the cheeks in such a beautiful way. So I'm gonna head over to Target because, funny story, I literally bought this new sports bra for myself, self-checkout, and there's a freaking sensor on it. So not only did I have to go back, and that's annoying, but like, I feel like they're gonna think I stole it. So that's gonna be awkward. I'm going to focus on driving and I will check up with you guys soon. All right, guys, it is, what time is it? It's 4:21. It has not even been like 4 hours, but I gotta tell you, the makeup is not going well, but I've definitely collected some thoughts and I wanna talk about those thoughts. I'll also insert some natural light views of my skin while I still have a little bit of sunlight because the sun is kind of setting now. Hopefully you guys are able to tell this Makeup by Mario foundation, it just is not it. I gotta tell you, on my face feels heavier than usual. I'm kind of like cognizant of the makeup more than typical. My pores are way more emphasized than usual, especially on the sides of my nose and into my cheeks. My makeup is breaking up oddly on my chin. My forehead does not look so bad, so that's a plus. And I feel lucky that I have natural light demos to share with you guys of the Charlotte Tilbury highlight, so that you're able to see that this does not emphasize texture. I wish I did have those natural light demos for you of the other two base products, the Luminous Putty Bronzer as well as the Too Faced. I don't yet though. But I feel like this foundation has kind of ruined the wear test for everything else that I have going on. I can definitely safely say I don't recommend it. And I think that's also coming from someone that in general just has high expectations for a foundation from this brand. One, because I absolutely love Makeup by Mario, and two, the claims of having like a surreal skin look and then this looking so textured is just very disappointing. This Beauty Evolution Eye Glow is, I don't recommend it. Honestly, I don't feel compelled to even wear it as I apply it, to wear it and test it again, because I just feel like I can get a similar, more long wear look out of my Ashen Ember Eye Soots from Rituel de Fille. That formula is a pigment mixed with an oil, and I feel like it's still able to give me this really sooty kind of undone look without the major creasing. Now, the Rare Beauty Under Eye Brightener. I will continue to test it out. I love the applicator, but honestly, on its own, it's not doing a lot for me. And I did notice one other time when I tested it with the Kosas Revealer Concealer that it did kind of mess with the formula a little bit. It wore off so quickly. It doesn't really want to set at all. And I feel like because this never really sets down, it just ends up looking a little bit more lived in and less coverage than my hollow under eyes would like. And also because I do have hollow under eyes, talk a lot about it on my channel, this didn't do as great of a job as I would want at kind of flattening out or filling in that little hollow. So right now, you know, a mixed feeling about this one. The lipstick, in the car, I went to Target, I think I mentioned that earlier. I found this lip gloss that's like SPF 15 and I tried it on. So the lip has worn off a little bit, but I will say that I'm really into this lipstick. It feels really nice. I really like the color too. So far so good with the Laura Mercier lipstick. I've had good first impressions, both with the Too Faced blush as well as the putty bronzer, but I feel like I'm not really able to give you guys like a 100% yes or no, just because the Makeup by Mario foundation I feel like did mess things around a little bit. However, because I just tried out and have been doing a lot of in-depth thinking on these Charlotte Tilbury highlights, I think if you want to start sculpting with light and accentuating certain features rather than giving you like a fresh skincare glow, if you're looking for that kind of sculpting aspect out of your highlight, I think that this is really great. And I do appreciate the formula. I do appreciate the addition of squalane. I think that even though in the finger in a swatch it kind of looks chalky even, I think the way it shears out so thinly on the skin and in such a lightweight way, I think it's impressive. I also think that the shimmer particles are so small, and because it has such a sheer base, it really does do this really beautiful job of adding a little bit more of that lifelike glow to the cheeks. However, I didn't talk about this, I don't think, earlier, but believe me, when I was ranting about it in like my first impressions video that I'm not going to post, something that I really don't like is the packaging. Like, this is all they could do. They added some stars on the front. It looks incredibly cheap. Even the embossing on here, the fact that all of these are like regular stars and then this is kind of like that scribbly Charlotte Tilbury star. I want to say this in like the nicest way. This packaging wise just feels lazy to me. But I don't know if you can even hear, like, you know, I feel like as makeup lovers, we get used to the sounds of our makeup, and certain sounds are cheap and other sounds are not cheap. So this to me sounds cheap. That sounds cheap. Whereas this Too Faced compact, listen to this. This does not sound cheap. I'll do both for you back to back. Charlotte Tilbury, Too Faced. You see how this is a little bit of a lower sound? That typically means more weight, and that also means something that's just a little bit heftier. Another example, Tom Ford, the iQuad. This is like the smoky quartz palette. Listen to this. You see? You hear it? How it's lower, also it's magnetized. Back to the Charlotte Tilbury. I know this is kind of overkill. I hope this is at least entertaining, because I know that like this is the stuff that I really think about. I have a really good feeling about a lot of the makeup that I wore today, and I'm actually kind of relieved and glad now that I've collected my thoughts on this Makeup by Mario foundation. It really sucks because I gotta tell you again, the Ethereal Eyes palette was such a letdown for me, and I wanted that to be a holy grail. I wanted this to be a holy grail. I mean, surreal skin. Let's go. I love skin that looks like just the best possible skin that you could ever have. None of us will really ever have without makeup. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm like, let's go. But with all of this, hopefully it ends up being helpful. You know, even when a product's disappointing, the plus side is that I'm saving you guys money, so that's always good. Anyway, I hope that you guys did enjoy the video. If you enjoy these longer videos, testing, trying out a bunch of products at once, check-ins, all of that good stuff, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I would love for you to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one.